Hello, this is Paul Edwards with Danmark Company. Danmark Company is a supplier of antimicrobial agents to raw and ready-to-eat meat operations. It could be red meat, poultry, and pork products that would apply to the antimicrobial intervention acidified sodium chloride. Right now what I'm demonstrating for you is how to determine the flow rate of a nozzle per minute of a hand sprayer. Now this applies to whether it is a pump up sprayer or in this case a motor driven by a battery sprayer. What you would take is you would take a clock that has a second hand and you would be timing the revolution. You want 1 minute to pass with your spray nozzle spraying into the container fully open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this for 30 seconds. Of course, you take 30 seconds multiplied by 2, that's 1 minute. So whatever the volume is in this graduated container is what you would times by 2. This graduated cylinder is 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 4 ounce. Here we go. It's going to be at the 12, the second hand, and that's when we're going to start. And I'm going to spray into this container. It's already been purged, so it should start to fill up, just like you see right there, filling up. And you can see that that's a relatively direct flow. It's a wide pattern spray, and later on we're going to demonstrate saturation of a piece of meat. That would be a piece of meat that could be a butt, a subprimal, a primal, any kind of cut like that. Okay, that's 30 seconds has passed. We take a look at where we are in volume, and the liquid volume is approximately 2 3/4 ounce to 3 ounce of solution. So it's 2 3/4 to 3 ounces of solution. You take 3 ounces, you multiply it by 2, that's 6 ounces per minute, because we let it run for 30 seconds, and we take that 30 seconds multiplied by 2 to come out for 1 minute. So that's how you determine that. Now, this nozzle, like many other pump-up nozzles, are going to have a little bit a method of controlling flow by opening it up or closing it further. I'm going to close it further this time, and I'm going to do the same test, and we'll take a look at it, okay? Start again here in just a few minutes. This time we're going to start at 6. When the second hand's at 6. Here we go. Now at 6. We wait for that second hand to get to 12. Made a slight adjustment to the nozzle, closing it up a little bit so that it should have less flow. And you know, it just these nozzle tips aren't adjusted in such a fashion that they're very accurate. So sometimes you just got to play with it a little bit to get your average flow rate. Okay, we're done. Let's take a look at it this time. Looks like it is maybe just a little over 2.5. Okay, so it did make a subtle change just by screwing it in. I'll pour that back in, gives you an idea. So that is how you go about testing your nozzle. You get an open face second hand clock. You run it for 1 minute, whether it's a hand one like this, a pump up sprayer, or even if it's a nozzle attached to a spray cabinet, or if it's a nozzle attached to a carcass cabinet. All of it holds true, and that is that you take the amount of volume that comes through the nozzle, liquid volume, and you take it for 1 minute, and you take that is your ounces per minute, your gallons per minute, depending on what that total volume is in 1 minute. That's what you multiply to figure out how many ounces per minute are going through that nozzle. If you have 12 nozzles in a cabinet, of course you would take that how many ounces per minute, multiply it by 12 nozzles. That would be your total gallons per minute through the multiple nozzles. It would be a cumulative amount of flow that it would be measured. Now the second demonstration that we're going to do here for you today is to determine what your saturation rate is. As a rule of thumb at Danmark Company, we say that if you have a flow rate of a range from 2 ounces a minute to 7 ounces a minute, you want to be able to treat anywhere from 15 to 25 pounds. I've got approximately 3 pounds of meat here that I'm going to go on and spray, and I'm going to spray that 3 pounds of meat for a half a minute. Okay, so that's 3 pounds of meat for a half a minute with the flow rate that we just measured, 2.5 ounces a minute with this nozzle being screwed in like it is. That's going to be that at a half a minute to these 3 pounds of meat, we are going to spray 2.5 ounces. Okay, so 1 minute, if we were spraying this piece of meat for 1 minute, then that would be 5 ounces for that 1 minute. But we're only going to spray it for half a minute, and that's 3 pounds. What we want to do is we want to demonstrate that in 6 pounds you would have 5 ounces sprayed if you had 2 pieces of meat, or if you had this sprayed at a quarter of a minute, which is 15 seconds, and then you can see what the rate of saturation would be there. So I stand corrected. We are going to spray this for 1/4 of a minute. That's 15 seconds. We're going to spray this meat on both sides to give you an example of saturation. Okay? So I'm going to grab the piece of meat with my hands. I'm going to look at my little timer there, and once it gets to 9 seconds, or the 9 point on the clock face, I'm going to start spraying. Here we go. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm spraying for 15 seconds. I just got that side. Now I'm spraying this side here. Okay, I'm going to flip it over one more time. And one more time, and we're done. Okay, so that was 15 seconds. If you take a look at this piece of meat here and you look at how wet it is, you can see that we've saturated it pretty good with this spray. That is what we want to accomplish. We want to take 3 pound pieces of meat or greater, and we want to spray them for a rate of 7 ounces per minute or less. Okay, so I've got 3 pounds. I sprayed it for a quarter of a minute, so that puts us at about 1.5 ounces here, okay? At the flow rate I was before, which was a flow rate of 2.5 ounces per 30 seconds, I sprayed this for 15 seconds, so it stands to reason that you cut that volume in half for 15 seconds. It would put you right at about 1.5 ounces for 3 pounds of meat, and you see the saturation that occurred. Now, once again, for the benefit of everybody watching this video, I'm going to move the meat away. We got a good example of what that saturation was. As a matter of fact, I could go on and cone in on this a little bit, give you a little bit closer look, but we all saw what that looked like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the meat out of the way. We know what the saturation looks like. We're going to go back over here to the clock. We're going to put the Glock right in front of the camera there so that you can closely monitor the second hand. We'll go on and pan in closer here. Okay, maybe a little bit too much. Okay, there's that second hand. There's that spray container. I'm going to go on and take the volume measuring device, or it's actually the cap of the sprayer, and it's got the measurers right there on the side. You can see, and right there, that's 2 ounces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the nozzle, still set it the same way. I'm going to put it into the container. I'm going to spray it for 15 seconds, and we're going to together look at that volume again so that we can see that if we are in fact still at 1.5 ounces. Here we go, going to 3. We're going to start at 3. There we go. It's at 3. We're starting. We're going to spray into this for 15 seconds, and we're going to see what the volume is. There you go. 15 seconds. You take a look at this right here, and looks to be, yep, looks like it's just over 1.5 ounces. If you look real close right here, there's a line right there for one. It looks like that's, what is that? Yeah. Well, heck, that looks like it's 2.5 ounces. So we'll take a look at that. We'll do this again for 15 seconds. Well, put it back in. We'll do it again for another 15 seconds because that looked like 2.5 ounces. So I might have misread it before. Let's try this again. This is something, like I said, you can repeat it by taking the test again, and we'll take a look at it. That will give us, spraying for 15 seconds will let us know exactly how many ounces we put in that piece of meat over there. So here we go. We're going to keep spraying. 15 seconds. Oops, squirted my little clock there. So yeah, looks like it's 2.5 ounces. So then that would mean 5 ounces for 30 seconds. But we're doing it, we did it for 15 seconds. So that we would put 2.5 ounces on that meat, just a little less than 2.5 ounces, between 2 and 2.5 ounces on 3 pounds of meat. So if you had 3 times 4, 12 pounds of meat, and you had this flow rate, you would be spraying about 10 ounces, be a little bit more so than we want it to be. We actually wanted to be lower, so that would be something that you have to control so that you achieve 15 pounds, you spray 7 ounces on it would be ideal for saturation. I have some customers that will take that flow rate that we just looked at and spray 25 pounds with it. You have a piece of meat, you want to spray all sides of it. As you could see by our demonstration, it did get both sides of it twice, rather saturated it pretty good. So that's the point of this training. Thank you very much.